Hi, I'm Dr. Linda F. Williamson. This week, we're going to give you a tool that's going to help you to stop a trigger in its tracks. Stay tuned. Hi, you guys. After this week's Oscars episode, I wanted to think back on how the tools in my book could be beneficial in a situation like that. So I came up with this thing called the Fruits Philosophy. The Fruits Philosophy has 6 steps in it that will help you to calm yourself down, get a better perspective before we do something emotionally triggered by the past. When we're in situations in our current lives, whether that's a professional situation or otherwise, it's so easy for us to slip into a trigger hijacked moment. But once that's out there, we can't pull it back. So it's better to have a process that you go through before you make that mistake. First, flip the script. Recalibrate. Understanding. Investigate, interpret, initiate. Trust the process and stay tuned. The acronym for these 5 steps is FRUITS. Now, I'm going to briefly give you an overview of this. If you go to my master class, which is free on this site, you can get a deeper dive into this and some other things that are in the book. Flip the script. Bottom line, from which script are you operating? Rule number 1 in script flipping is do not jump to conclusions. Flip the script on that old behavior. Just tear it up, throw it away, and start rewriting your life. If in the moment you're unsure of the proper actions, generally doing the opposite of what you usually do is the ticket. Otherwise, when in doubt, be quiet. You don't want to have to take back any regretful statements. Based on knowing old patterns have not been working, shut them down. Shut them down before they leave your mouth. Think, is this another item that belongs on your list of situations, personalities, or things that typically set you off? Fight it. Don't go with that flow. Refuse to go along with the emotional status quo and stop the minute those old emotions and responses are triggered. Go no further. It's time for some serious self-evaluation. Ask yourself, what am I going to do differently today than I did before? So the first thing you want to do is flip the script. In other words, our normal behavior when we're triggered by something is to fly off the handle, go into a crying jag, withdraw, get whatever way that you respond to a trigger. We're going to flip the script on that. And what do I mean? What you're going to do is you're going to stop right there in that moment. You're going to stop and you're going to think through the next 4 steps. Recalibrate. To recalibrate means just like it does when you, okay, y'all, I know some of y'all can't relate to this, but back in the day, we used to have things that we would have to calibrate. You would have to calibrate your compass. Right now, if you're on your phone, when it tells you to open your locality so that it can determine where you are now to take you somewhere, it's calibrated. So when you recalibrate, you're getting a new perspective. You're deciding that you're going to reevaluate how you're looking at a situation. Again, I go into much more detail in the masterclass, absolutely free right here on my YouTube channel. Recalibration Rule 1. Don't engage with negativity in yourself or in others. Don't even take the bait. You need to disengage so that you are not being drawn into that negativity. Until you decide to engage, then the negativity stays with the other party. The moment you choose to engage that negativity, you have now brought that into your life, into your karma, so to speak. Recalibration Rule 2. Beware when others trigger negativity in you. Don't let it out of your mouth. Don't let it out in your behaviors. Know that that has been triggered in you, and you have to accept the responsibility in the moment to choose that you're not going with that flow. Recalibration rule number 3. Always remember that your own perceptions can be off. This is the toughest one for us trauma survivors. We have settled into a default setting of fight or flight. It was a survival technique in the beginning, but when we continue in that fight or flight state throughout life and throughout the years, it becomes totally maladaptive. Always remember that your perceptions can be off. Understanding. This step is where the transformation begins. It's time to gather facts and process what you've discovered. This is where honest self-evaluation is required as you consider the other side of the story. In this phase, your perceptions are challenged at their core. We don't see the impact of our behaviors on others. Part of personal responsibility is becoming more self-aware, which includes understanding the difference between the intent of our actions and their actual impact. Our way of seeing things isn't necessarily everybody's way of seeing things. Understanding this is job 1. It's the beginning of truth. Our best intentions will not outweigh the impact of our behaviors on others and on ourselves. Beware of the communication chasm. Impact overrules intent because the impact drives results. So if you didn't get your intended results from an action, a behavior, communication, or a gesture, it's likely due to the Frankenstein effect. Picture an imaginary see-through tube between you and the person with whom you're communicating. We'll call them the receiver. One end of the tube is over your mouth. The other end of the tube is over the receiver's ear. As you talk, your sentences float word by word through the tube and into the ear of the receiver. The tube represents the gap between our intended message and the way it is received or perceived. If the receiver hears the wrong message, your intended outcome might be disappointing. At that point, it doesn't matter what you said. What matters is the message they received. Here's how it works. You say, go turn the stove off under the eggs. Instead, they turned in and went to bed. Your kitchen's flaming, and you're berating the poor receiver who is guilty of nothing more than acting on his best understanding of your message. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Was he reacting to some negativity you communicated in your attitude or tone? Was there a miscommunication or a misunderstanding that caused things to get off on the wrong track? If so, what is it? And what's the backstory? So that's the communication chasm. I'm filtering what I see and what you say through my life experiences. And when we have trauma going on from the past, that can definitely upset our perspective. So you want to get an understanding of what went on. So the next step after that, and I'm rushing through these because you can get the details in the masterclass. The next step is investigate, interpret, and initiate. That means that you're going to ask the perspective of other people around you who were there and see how they saw that. Then you're going to pull in all of the things that you got from the third parties who observed it. Or if there were no third parties there to discuss it with, then you're going to ask someone you trust. You don't get to color the narrative when you explain it to them with all your emotions and your offense, but you get to just the facts, ma'am. You just give them the straight facts, straight up, no chaser about what went on as best you can factually. And then get their feedback. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take all of that feedback and you're going to interpret it. Let me evaluate this. So maybe I could have misunderstood that. And maybe that's not what they really meant. So let me take all of this in, and then you're going to come to a conclusion. How am I going to handle this? Am I going to go back to this person and tell them I missed that I understood so-and-so and ask them what they meant by that? Am I going to have to confront somebody because your interpretation was correct and you need to get them told and straight about it? However, you have to initiate your game plan after you've investigated and interpreted your findings, then you move forward like that. But you never want to move forward from an emotional standpoint. It's got to always be objective. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to have to trust the process, because this is the deal. You're going to get tired of doing this. You're going to get tired of catching your emotions and being so self-aware that you're catching your triggers. But what you want to do and trust the process is understand that as you grow as a result of not allowing these triggers to hijack you, then you may lose some friends in the meantime. You're going to grow. You're going to change. Your whole perspective will become wider and clearer and less cloudy. And as you do that, you're going to make different decisions in your life. You're going to make more destiny-driven decisions, purposeful decisions, decisions that are not sending you down this path of repeating these self-defeating cycles. And as you grow and as you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to lose some friends. Some people aren't going to get it. They don't know you. They know the old you, which was the fake you, the you thought you were. So when the new you comes about, don't get offended by it. People are gonna act out. They're gonna go straight out to lunch. They're gonna have behaviors, especially if you're going through this process, it's causing you to have to get them told about some things or demand that you're treated better in some areas. Then what's gonna happen is everybody's flailing, trying to find that same equilibrium they had with the old you. That ain't you no more. They don't know you now. And you have to be okay with this. You have to understand. You've got to be okay with this, because this is positive growth and it's a good thing. When people get out to lunch and they will have behaviors you will not believe. They will start tripping on you and acting out. Probably if you're in with a narcissist, they're going to start blaming you for everything wrong in their life. You have to be comfortable with who you are becoming and be fine with losing the old friends, because you will make new, more positive friends. This is a process. And trust me, you're going to get to the point where you are not feeling like it. I mean, sometimes it just feels darn good to be a bee. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes you just feel like letting it fly. But when you're on this healing path, you cannot allow that. You have got to be willing to, okay, now I'm feeling myself rising up here. Let me go back to the fruits philosophy and determine what's going on with me. And then finally, you're going to stay tuned and be aware of the fact that if somebody's telling you something that you don't want to hear, it might be exactly the message you need to hear. Okay, that's why it's important to have somebody you trust, and you can trust that they have your best interests at heart, because it's going to come a time when you are not going to feel like doing this. I'm telling you. And if you come to a time when you do not feel like doing this, you're going to have to just be determined and deliberate that I'm going to do this. And understand that, okay, nobody's perfect. You may slip up and go ahead and be a B one day. Okay, well, you went ahead and you were a B one day. If you wind up having to apologize to somebody for something, then just do it right. Ask forgiveness, acknowledge you were wrong, and then move on. So anyway, that's the fruits philosophy. To recap, you're going to flip the script, recalibrate, gain understanding, investigate, interpret, initiate, trust the process, and stay tuned. You all told me that you want to have more tools to use in your everyday life that are going to help you to navigate the healing process. So that's why I wanted to bring you the fruits philosophy. Now, part of the fruits philosophy under the understanding aspect requires you to use the apple inventory. And that'll be my next video. I will discuss the apple inventory that you use in the understanding phase. In the meantime, I will also link at the end of the video where you can go to take the master class, and I will try to link directly to the specific video that addresses the fruits philosophy. It's a two-parter. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button, hit a like, share the video. Always remember that your greatest power is realizing the truth of who you are. Know that truth. Hey, if you like what you see here today, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we upload, and like and share the video. Thanks.